welcome to the one and only Tszyu.
Hey guys, how we doing? Welcome to Talking Boxing. It is Monday, September the 30th, 2024. And always great to have you all along. I see there's a few in the chat already. I'm going to bring up my comments at the moment. That reminds me while I say that, because this always brings up the comments in the wrong order. So thank you to everyone again for joining in. I'm just going to turn my phone down so you can't hear me there, just so I can get the comments right. So guys, again, great to have you along. Not a great weekend for boxing. Not really much happened, I don't think. Let me know if I'm wrong. But I think Shane Mosley was about the highlight of the weekend. Well, maybe the Sandy Ryan, Michaela Mayer fight. What was the other one? Alicia Baumgardner and Delphine Passoon for the girls. All-female card, which was great. But not a lot happening as far as boxing goes. So it's a little bit hard when you're doing my other show that I've been doing lately, the walking boxing, because you've got to come up with content each day. But there's always a few little bits and pieces happening. Thank you to Devin Haney, who always, and Ryan Garcia, who always keeps me busy. Eddie Hearn, Oscar De La Hoya. So there's always a few around. But guys, let's get into the comments. We're going to start with, again, I'm just going to be looking up my phone here. So if you're watching me on YouTube, apologies. I'm looking down so I get the order of the comments correct. Let's start with Robert Smith. How are you, Robert? With the IBF only allowing 10 pounds rehydration per fighter, is it likely to affect Tim? This is obviously Tim Tszyu. Will it affect him physically in his upcoming title fight, considering he normally rehydrates 20 to 25 pounds post-weigh-in? That's a good question, Robert. I'm not sure. Does he actually rehydrate that much? I wasn't really aware of that. I know, obviously, he, like most fighters, will put on a fair bit of weight, but I wasn't sure. Was that about 10 kilos? Look, it might be the case. It's a little bit like this weekend's fight, in Sydney, Robert, with Mikhailovich and Janibek. I did say there's a few questions about that as we go, so we'll answer those. But with the Janibek and Mikhailovich, they haven't. I think the WBO belt is not on the line, which may be another ploy by the Rose brothers with the IBF, because I think if the WBO belt was on the line as well, correct me if I'm wrong, that the rehydration clause would not be part of it. But anyway, as far as that goes, look, I think Tim's professional enough, Robert, that will not be a problem. It hasn't been a problem so far in how many pro fights that he's had. So I don't think it'll be an issue at all, mate. But look, you got to also remember he did the weight hard from memory in the Gorchet fight. It was really, really cold over there where he was. And I think he struggled to get the weight off. So I don't think this is going to be an issue. In Florida, it's nice and sunny down that way, so I'm sure he'll be fine. All right, Damien. Where are we? I'll go down to your comment there. What's that? I seen your walking boxing today. What the hell did Mosley steal your 1 minute idea? Well, I actually thought of that myself, Damien. And if you're not aware, I've had an idea for a while, and I've sort of given up on it myself, and I'll probably talk to some other promoters, but if they want to do it, that's fine. I'm not that stressed about it. But my idea was a concept of 1 minute rounds, to the point where we have state, national, regional, world titles for 1 minute rounds. So I just think it would bring a whole new dynamic to boxing. We see it in other sports here in Australia. The cricket is probably the one that comes to mind more than any of them, the T20 version. So I just think those 1 minute rounds, there's 100 miles an hour, I think we'd see a whole new type of boxing. So anyway, but I'm with you, Damien. I did notice that his fight on the weekend were 1 minute rounds. I think it had more, obviously, to do with the fact that he's 53 years old. But thank you for noticing that, because it caught my eye as well. All right, still with Damien. What's the go for the TV for Friday night's event if there are only 2 fights? That's another good question. I actually I spoke to Shannon O'Connell over the weekend. I did see old mate's got a and g'day to you, Big J, in the chat there. I did see he's got a comment about Shannon. Yeah, she told me that at this point there might be one other fight. So look, I understand firstly that the odds are they're not going to make make enough money to pay for this event. I might be wrong. I'm only sort of spitballing and guessing, but I would not begrudge the guys at No Limit for really skimping on the undercard. Let's face it. Initially, we're all in there for the world title fight. It is free, obviously. So it's not a pay-per-view. So I get that they want to keep the budget to a minimum. But at the moment, only 2 fights, maybe 3. That's going to be a very, very short night. And I did look just out of curiosity today, Damien. I actually went on the website for tickets, and I've got a feeling the Star City only holds about 1,000 people. They didn't really have the balcony part. I've never been there, so I'm not quite sure. But they had about 250 around the ring, and they had like a stage. There's only sort of one side of the ring actually, so they had a stage, the ring, and then it's all in front of the ring. And if you guys have been there, let me know if I'm doing this or saying this wrong, but looked like there was I counted them up, about 1,000, and there were, I reckon, a couple of hundred tickets still available. So I hope they pack it out. I really do. I hope they make buck on it, and everyone makes money out of the whole thing. But when you've got about 1,000 people, I don't want to sort of guess too much, but when you think about it, the average ticket was about $150, probably even less. But even if it's 150 times 1,000, that's what's that, 150? They might get another 150 through Fox. Some sponsorship, maybe it's about 350. I reckon they're about 2 to 250 in the hole for this event. So let's hope I'm wrong, and the money comes from somewhere. But I don't know, to answer your question, Damien, I'm not quite sure. Yeah, what happens? I mean, we'll all watch. But, geez, if you're going for a good night of boxing, you're not going to be overly pleased, are you, when you turn up at 7 o'clock, whatever it is, and the night's over by 8:30, 9 o'clock. So, anyway, I think it's going to, those 2 fights that we're going to have are going to be great. But I wouldn't be surprised if they just sort of chuck on anyone last minute. But the fact we're 4 days out and we don't have any other notice on who's on, it's a little bit surprising, Damien. You can tell it's been a little bit rushed and just thrown together. But you would have thought they would have had surely some fighters out there they could have just thrown on the card to give everyone 3 fights of entertainment. Really, when you think about it, they could have got away with maybe 2 4-rounders, a 6-rounder, then the girls, and then the main event. But I understand too they've got budgets to meet. All right, Tommy, how are you there, Tommy? I'll get to your comments there. Where are we? Here it is. There's your first comment. Hope all is well. I'll be rooting for Andre over Janibek. Personally, I don't like how Janibek handled that whole cancelling the last event and haven't been a fan of his choice of opponents. Yeah, well, is he even here yet? This is the other thing. We've seen no social media about him. We've seen no interviews. We've seen nothing. Normally, now maybe I've missed it, but I try and scour all the pages so I'm always up to date so I don't look like an idiot on here if you guys raise something I don't know about. But what is it? Monday. The fight's on Friday. Now, does he not know from the States? It's probably 15. I'm going to say 15 hours from LA. Now, I don't know where he's coming from, but it could be 15 to 20 hours plus stopovers, whatever it might be. So it's a really curious situation. Now, I've got a feeling that No Limit, and I don't blame them, credit to them, are doing absolutely everything they can to give Andre the maximum advantage, and that's obviously to be expected. And I think they've done it really well. They won the purse bid, 4 weeks notice. You're in Janibek. I don't care what condition you're in. You come into Australia and you're going to fight Andre Mikhailovich no matter what shape you're in. I like it. I really like it. And it shows to me that No Limit are learning the caper. I think for the first few years, they had the best intentions, of course. Maybe good businessmen away from boxing, but I think learning all the tricks of the trade, and maybe the Tim Tszyu experience maybe sharpened them up a little bit, but I just get the impression they're really starting to learn the boxing business and the caper, and learning all those tricks of the trade, and I think it's going to really give Andre a really good chance of winning on Friday night. As for his choice of opponents, Tommy, yeah, it hasn't been great. I think he is the best middleweight at the moment. But that whole thing that happened with Mikhailovich in July, I thought was really bad professionalism, sportsmanship, whatever you want to name it. I got a feeling they would have known that he was going to really struggle to make weight. And the fact he was in Las Vegas, this is the other thing we've got to get our heads around, is that fight was in Vegas. Now, that time of year would have been absolutely scorching hot. Now, was it the middle of July? It would have been 45 degrees every day. And he would have had a 8 to 10, maybe 12-week training camp leading into the fight. And he still missed weight. Now he's going to come to Australia on 4 weeks' notice. The weather's okay, I suppose, but certainly not Las Vegas. Yeah, who knows? Is he going to make weight? What happens then? I don't know. But thanks, Tommy. Glad you're in the chat. So 2-part comment. What do you got there? Do you see Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia being good promotional tactic to keep the names in the headlines, especially with boxing being so slow now? Yeah, well, as I mentioned at the start of the show, Tommy has been a little bit slow in the last couple of weeks. I've got a feeling it's going to really pick up in the next couple of weeks, though. But yeah, look, I think Ryan Garcia just thinks it's a hoot. Tommy, he just thinks it's the greatest ever. He's suspended for a year, but it seems like every day his name's in the news for something, isn't it? Devin Haney, I've had my say on this on the walking boxing segments. Don't like this at all. I see that Eddie Hearn did say this could really change boxing going forward. But, yeah, I just don't like it. I understand these sorts of things happen in boxing as far as lawsuits goes and he said, she said sort of thing. But, yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it when a fighter can take another fighter to court simply because they lost the fight. And again, I said that Devin Haney accepted the fight. And I did actually say, I think that he, obviously per the contract, Ryan didn't make weight. He's got his $1.2 million payday or fine or whatever it might, or compensation, whatever it might have been. But I didn't actually mention the drugs thing, I think, is where the litigation or whatever is happening is coming from. So, don't know. The fact that both guys are in the news, I suppose it's a good thing, but it's not really for a good topic, is it? Or a good or something or anything positive. So, yeah, I don't know, mate. I think, as I said, Ryan enjoys it. Devin Haney, I just think he's digging himself a hole that he's going to struggle to get out of. Where's the rest of that comment there, mate? Dev won't fight during Ramadan. Yeah, good point. It's already October. If I was him, focus on preparing for a rematch at 147 that could happen in May or June. Well, he did take a fair bit of punishment, didn't he, Tommy, in that Garcia fight? And there was talk that he was going to fight at the end of the year. Now, I'm not against him taking the rest of the year off. And if your point you make there is valid, if Ramadan's February, March, well, you know, is it a month, 4 weeks? Is it I'm not quite sure the Ramadan thing, but yeah, it's an interesting one. Look, who knows? Maybe that might happen, Tommy, where they just say to Devin, all right, just sit out, take your time, heal up mentally and physically, get all this out of the road, and maybe we can settle this in the ring in, like you said, May or June when Ryan Garcia is back. But, yeah, good points. I didn't actually factor in the Ramadan side of things, but, yeah, anyway, I'm not against him not fighting for the rest of the year. He's young enough. He can afford to take a break. But, yeah, it does make sense, doesn't it? Will Ryan Garcia want to give him a fight with all this happening? Does the judge then say, well, hang on, you can't have it both ways. You can't be suing the guy for what he did in the last fight. Now you want to fight him again. What's it going to be? You're going to profit off him. Well, you're trying to sue him on one hand. You're trying to profit off him on the other. Yeah, interesting times, Tommy. And there is old mate Big J. How are you there, mate? Very interesting week ahead. Janibek, Andre with no limit, doing whatever they can to get the belt off Janibek. No confirmation if the champ is even in the country. Maybe a no-show. Well, as I said, Big J. Who knows? Look, if he... Oh, geez, you would think he'd have to be here by tomorrow, wouldn't you? Now, that's still only 3 days. Now, I've done the America to Australia flight so many times I've lost count. And it does take you, even as many times as I've done it, a good week to really just feel back to normal. Yeah, okay, he will no doubt probably be coming business class, or do they book him economy just to throw another one at him? Who knows? But let's say he does come business class. Even if you fly business class and you get the flat bed and all that sort of stuff, You still get here. Your time zones are all out. You could pick up a bug on the plane, which is very, very common as well. You might get a migraine from. There's lots of things that can happen. I'm just saying that, and the fact that he's coming here with less than a week to prepare. Look, if you got some money, maybe put it on Andre, because I would have thought that Janibek would be the out-and-out favourite, and of course he deserves to be, but I always gave Andre just that puncher's chance. The fact that Janibek's coming underprepared, Mikhailovich is going to come and let it all hang out, and if Janibek doesn't turn up, I just thought that Andre would have a real good go, and now the fact that everything seems to be stacked in Mikhailovich's favour, who knows? We're going to see an upset. All right, now I mentioned the fight with Shannon. Let's see, Big J, your rundown on it. The fight between Shannon and Mayer, I think, is a one-sided fight. I think Shannon loses and retires. Hope I'm wrong, but being undefeated and significantly younger, bigger and stronger than Shannon, it's, what's the next? No, not looking good for Shannon. Where was the rest of that? Yeah, okay. We'll put that one up there. I get it, Big J. Look, when I spoke to her, look, she did say that, look, it's a risky fight. And credit to both girls. Maya was supposed to fight Ellie Scottney, and she was injured, so that fight was over. Shannon was supposed to fight a girl in Germany. I don't think she was an actual German, but she was based there, whatever it might have been, and that fell over as well. She did say, I think it's on social media anyway, that she got the phone call Tuesday morning. She spoke to Glenn Jennings, and it was all done by lunchtime on the Tuesday. Now, these are real fighters. Now, this is what you want to see, whether it be male, female, whatever it is. Just two fighters say, you know what, we're evenly matched. Let's go. As far as your comment there, Big J, speaking to Shannon, as I said, that she did make note that it's a catch weight. So I think it's at 125. What's featherweight? 126. Super Bantam's 122. I think it was maybe 125 and a half or something like that anyway. So I've got a feeling, she said, rankings aren't affected. Now, both girls are ranked in the world rankings at the moment. So I've got a feeling that both girls, again, I'm not, trying to put it out there. I know exactly what's going on. But from what I gather, neither girl are that worried. Well, of course, they don't want to lose. No one wants to lose. But if one of them do lose, then the rankings won't be affected. Now, of course, in response to your question there, if it's a bad loss, maybe Shannon gets stopped or really knocked around, then maybe there's a case. But, we'll have to see. But, look, again, just credit to both girls who have taken this fight on. I think No Limit both girls a really good payday for the fact they've jumped on this card with such short notice and pretty much, well, I won't say save the undercard, because at the moment there is only one fight on the undercard. So, but, look, I don't think Shannon underestimates the risk, Big J, and how hard a fight it is. I mean, Maya is 19-0 with 7 knockouts, but again, if you look at her resume, her record, I don't think it's really stacked with superstars, Big J. But she's young, she's hungry. It's going to be a tough fight. Shannon knows that, but let's hope she can come through. But again, regardless of what happens, just full respect to her and obviously Maya as well. All right, we'll go down the comments there, try and get back on track. There is Carl in the chat. Hope that shirt hasn't shrunk too much, Carl. Mikhailovich for the upset. There you go. Yeah, it's not a foregone conclusion, this fight, Carl. And I might have a sneaky $10 on it myself, I think, because the odds are pretty juicy, I think. All right, Garden Snake Mentality. What do you got there? Canelo and Inoue are rumoured to be on the same card in December in Tokyo. Do you see Inoue picking Sam over MJ next? If you had to guess who will be Canelo's opponent, Bud might be fighting Conor McGregor. Is it Conor McGregor? Haven't heard that one, Garden Snake. As for the card, no, I haven't heard about that. Inoue has said he wants to fight in December, and that will be, I think it'll be Sam Goodman. Snake, we'll call you. I think it'll be Sam Goodman. I think the fact that Inoue's just fought, I think he'll want to just keep the sanctioning bodies happy, get that fight out the road, and then maybe look at others, maybe next year, maybe go to 126, who knows, or maybe look out for Nakatani. They have said that they might fight next year as well, of course. But that's the first I've heard about Canelo and Inoue, Snake. think Canelo. What is he? Just fought in September. I'd be staggered if he fought again in December. Snake. Yeah, I think a 3-month turnaround. Yeah, it's a long stretch. I know he has done it in the past, but he's done that against really lower opposition, and he's probably coming off maybe a 3rd or 4th round knockout in September, and then backs up in November or December. Like the Berlanga fight, even though he won convincingly, was still a tough fight. It's still a 12-round fight, still a training camp, all the rest of it. Yeah, so I'd be surprised at that, Snake, and also the fact that Canelo and Inoue are both alphas. I don't think they will want to fight on it would have to be Canelo on the undercard of Inoue if it's in Tokyo. I don't think Canelo fights on the undercard of anyone, Snake. Now, that might be a little bit different if it was a Riyadh season card, because Turkey LL Sheik, he throws enough money at them. They don't really care where they are on the card. Canelo is obviously not part of that. So I'd be absolutely staggered if 1, Canelo fights in December, and 2, that he would be on the undercard of Inoue, let alone anyone else. So, but what's the rest of your question? Yeah, I think it will be Sam Goodman. And I have no idea about Bud fighting Conor McGregor. I would probably fall off my chair if that was the case. Snake, I don't think Bud wants to be dragged down to that level, but who knows? Who knows? All right, Mark, what do you got there, mate? Hang on, I'll bring it up there. I'm told that Tim's fight date will be canned in a few days, and his fight will be put on the Tank undercard. I hope this is not true, but the person telling me is adamant. Okay, Mark, well, I haven't seen anything about that. Look, I'm not saying it's not true, because anything's possible these days. What is it? It's about only about 3 weeks away, isn't it? So, I don't know, Mark. But if the person telling me is adamant, he might be adamant, Mark, but is he actually in a position to make the call? So is he actually in the know? Would he know someone that would know? That's probably more relevant to your comment there, mate. But look, if it is the case, who knows? But mate, who knows? I know I've said who knows about 5 times there, but with that fight, I mean, I was staggered it was in Florida in the first place, an Aussie versus a Russian in Florida. Although we did see Jason Maloney fight Rodriguez there, 5 or 6 years ago. That was an Aussie versus a Puerto Rican in Florida. But I'm not sure, mate. Well, who's Tank fighting again? It slipped my mind. Let me know in there. But yeah, that's news to me. All right, Kane. How many amateur fights did you have, and did you have any pro fights? Love the channel. Thanks, Kane. Appreciate it, mate. I don't know exactly how many, Kane. I should know. I know there are fighters out there that know every fight and round and everything else. I had around 100 amateur fights, Kane. Yeah, and I didn't have any pro fights. I retired after the Commonwealth Games in '98, and couldn't wait to get married and get in the business, Kane. So, I didn't go pro. All right, Batman, what do you got there, mate? You seen the rumour? Oh, there you go. Hang on. Batman's in the know. You seen the rumour? Canelo and Inoue fighting on the same card at the Tokyo Dome in December. Okay, all right. Well, if there's a few of you out there saying it, then maybe it is true. Plenty of Japanese fans I follow on Twitter all talking about it, and even Mexican media now talking. Well, you got to give me the sites you're looking at, Batman. Although I'm not on Twitter, or is it X? I have got an account, but I don't really. I might get on it every 3 or 4 months and have a quick look. It's just, for me, it's a talk about swamps. It's shocking, especially if it's politics and that sort of stuff. But for boxing, maybe I've got to get on there and follow it a little bit closely. But no, I haven't seen that, Batman. So there you go. All right. So who was the other one that told me? So Mark, hang on. Who was the other one? Garden Snake was the other one. So there you go. Sounds like too Garden Snake is in the know as well as far as following all these sites. So if that is the case, then I proved to be shown to be incorrect. So that's very interesting. Any rumours about the opponent though, Batman? That's probably another question I'll ask, or the fact they're going to be on the same card. So who's Canelo with? PBC. Although I know he's a free agent. So predominantly with PBC. In a way, is with Top Rank. Would Canelo fight with Top Rank? Who knows? But the fact that it's out there, yep, maybe. Yeah, I'm with you there, Batman. It would be legendary for sure. Garden Snake, Benavidez is ducking David Morrell for Jesse Hart. Is it really a duck though, Snake? I did see that. Look, I've got a feeling it may be the Benavidez Jesse Hart fight sort of been made, and now David Morrell's just throwing his name out there. We just don't know what goes on behind closed doors with these guys. Yeah, I'm not sure Benavidez is in a position to be ducking David Morrell. Who knows? I've just found out that Canelo and Inoue are fighting on the same card, so anything's possible. But yeah, look, I don't know. I've got a feeling that maybe Jesse Hart was signed to fight Benavidez before all this happened, and who knows? But one thing I think we've all learnt over the journey is that you don't believe any of them because they're all just telling us what they want us to hear. And eventually, one day, there'll be an announcement and such is fighting such and such. So I'm not even going to try and understand it, Garden Snake. If he fights hard, he fights hard. If he fights Morrell, he fights Morrell. There's Asbot in the chat. How are you there, mate? Raven Rave. How are you, Rave? What do you think of Devin Haney after filing a battery charge to Ryan Garcia? I don't like it, Rave. I just think it has, well, I'm going to say it has no place in boxing, but does it? Eddie Hearn was adamant that this might change boxing. Does Devin Haney get blacklisted over this? I don't know, but you'd be thinking twice about fighting him, wouldn't you? Is it really worth the drama? Whether you're a promoter, fighter, whatever it is it really worth the hassle of having Devin Haney as part of your card? At least with Ryan Garcia, I know he's just as much drama and hassle, but you get entertainment out of Ryan Garcia. You know, he just makes it happen. Devin Haney just seems like it's all about him. And I had to laugh that his dad said, this is, welcome to the Devin Haney era. Mate, your kid got knocked down 3 or 4 times in his last fight and was proven to be a bit of a hype job, really, wasn't he? So, I'm not the biggest Devin Haney fan, Rave, if I'm being honest. But, yeah, I think Ryan Garcia, who reacted in a great way. What did he say? He had left hook syndrome, perfect comeback, and now they're talking about suing Devin Haney. So, that's a circus, Rave, that's for sure, isn't it? Still with Devin Haney here. Let's talk about these bitches, the Haneys. What the hell? The dad keeps talking how street he is. Yeah, I think he's been found out a few times, though, Damien. I think there's been a few people along the way that have sort of checked Bill Haney a little bit. I think one of the best ones I saw was Floyd Mayweather. They went at each other for ages, back and forth, face to face. So not just on social media, commenting on each other. They actually got into it on social media, on a video call or whatever it was. And I thought Floyd Mayweather pretty much owned Bill Haney in that one. But yeah, he does talk it up a bit, Damien. Look, again, I'm not a massive fan of the Haneys. Just get in there and fight, Devin. Let's forget about all the shenanigans outside the ring. Do you know why the Janibek Andre fight is only the IBF belt and not the WBO? I don't know, Carl. Now, hang on. I'll just sorry about that. I'm just going to say I might bring up the rankings. Now, the only thing I can think of is that he's not ranked by the WBO. I'm just going to have a quick look as we speak. What is it? Middleweight. So with the current rankings. So the IBF, he's number 3. But this is the thing that always confuses me. The number 1 and 2 positions are vacant. I still don't know how you have vacant positions. You're either number 1 or not. You can't be ranked number 3, but you are the highest ranked guy. It just doesn't make sense. But anyway, Mikhailovich is ranked number 3, but he's the highest ranked guy. In the WBO, he's ranked number 4. There you go. I don't know, Carl. The only thing I can think of, the WBO number 1 fighter is Hamza Shiraz. And maybe they wanted him to, although he's only just fought, hasn't he? So that couldn't happen. I don't know. I don't know to answer your question there, Carl. Your guess is as good as mine. All right. Damien on Haney still. Dev won't fight during Ramadan. Yeah, because he's religious. Yeah, well, he's okay to be punching unsuspecting carnival workers, isn't he, Damien? I'm not sure that goes, or if that doesn't go in the face of the whole Ramadan, or what is it, the Muslim faith? I don't know. But he seems to be a part-time Muslim, doesn't he, Damien? All right, Oscar is on a roasting roll at the moment. He's actually pretty good at it. He went scorched earth on Dana White. Yeah, I commented a fair bit on that in the last few days, Asbot. I sort of love it, but I don't. I mean, I love it as far as the entertainment factor goes, and I think he does it so well. And I'm not sure whether he reads off a card, but he seems to, it just rolls off his tongue really well. And maybe, I suppose, when it's coming off your tongue and there's no punches being pulled, excuse the pun, that it does tend to flow quite freely, and you don't need cue cards or a speech or whatever it might be. But he does it so well. I don't like it in the respect that Oscar De La Hoya, Hall of Famer, absolute legend fighter, is lowering himself to this sort of level, but seems to be working. I think, again, I mentioned him at one of my videos the other day with Eddie Hearn. He did his version of it as well, and he roasted Oscar, and I thought he was really good as well. So I think the problem with both these guys, Asbot, is that Oscar and Eddie are very, very similar in personalities and everything else. I know Eddie hasn't been a fighter, but they seem very, very similar. I think in another universe, they'd actually get on quite well and be good mates, because they just love taking the piss out of each other, themselves, everyone else. But he's having a good crack at it, isn't he? And the Dana White thing, especially, I think now he's sort of upset, or whatever you want to call it, that Dana White is coming into the boxing field. It's another mouth to feed, another competition, a bit of competition. But he ended up in cahoots with Turki Al-Sheikh, didn't he? So maybe if Dana White comes in and throws a check his way or whatever it might be, all of a sudden all might be forgiven. But yeah, he's definitely good entertainment, Asbot, that's for sure. And look, he got a response from Shane Mosley. He's got a response from Eddie Hearn. He's getting responses from everyone. So I think it's great. Canelo, the only thing that's not happening for Oscar at the moment, he hasn't really got a real roster of fighters at the moment, has he? Ryan Garcia's on the sidelines. I suppose he's got Victor Ortiz. Apart from that, not much happening for Oscar at the moment. All right, Bill, how are you there, mate? I'm looking forward to watching Shannon's comeback, see where she's at. Really hope she's still as good as ever. Oh, yeah, well, she did say, Bill, that even though the fight happened on short notice, she was in a training camp for the fight in Germany. Of course, Maya was in a training camp as well, which sort of balances it out. But she said, look, it might seem very, very short notice, but she said, I'm ready to go. And she said, this fight is might be a week or so earlier than what the German fight was going to be, but she said it's not really going to matter to me too much. Maya, on the other hand, her fight with Ali Scott was it supposed to be about 3 weeks from now? So her camp's actually been brought forward. So how is she going to react to that? So that's probably I think a bit of a balancing act between the two. That might just level it out a little bit with the activity and age advantage that Maya has. Maybe the fact that she's going to have 3 weeks less on her or in her training camp than what she planned might just work more into Shannon's favour. But as I said before, Bill, Shannon's a fighter's fighter. That's just what she does. And whether you like her or not, you cannot begrudge the fact that she's always in shape. She's always ready to go. The phone rings and she's there. There's no haggling. And it's probably been to her detriment over the years. She's accepted money that was just way too low in certain fights and just taken it for the opportunity. But that's just what she's always done. So, yeah, she's up against it, but she knows where she's at, and I'm sure she'll turn up and give a good account of herself. All right, Asbot, didn't realise Haney is suing Ryan. What a clown act. Yes, mate, 100% it's a clown act. Sammy T. I know Jazzy Parr is only 21 and 6 fights into her pro career, but how do you rate her chances of becoming a big star here in Australia? I think she's well on the way, Sammy. And I'm not sure I'm allowed to say this, but I'm pretty sure that when Jazzy Parr, her last opponent, pulled out, who was that? Amber Amelia pulled out. I'm pretty sure Shannon O'Connell was put up as the opponent for Jazzy Parr in that fight, and they actually turned that fight down, which I think is a good move. Shannon's really experienced. She's a lot bigger than Jazzy. So I think it was a good call from Jazzy Parr's management. And I think she's going to be a star, Sammy. I think she fights for a world title. And I think she's got the personality, she's got the backing, she's got the ability. And the only thing I will say, at that weight where she is, super flyweight, very, very competitive down that way. There's so many great South American fighters, Mexicans, you name it, Asian fighters, Japanese, Chinese, whatever it might be. So it's a tough part of the sport. But yeah, she's going to give herself every chance. And I like the fact that she's got that Muay Thai mentality of, I just bring her. I'll fight anyone. Bring them up. You know, I'm happy to go. So, yeah, no, I think she's a star in the making. I wouldn't mind seeing her fight Taylor Robinson in semi. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Taylor. Rumours are she might be training out of the States at the moment, but she's gone very solid as well since her close call earlier in the year. All right, Carl, what do you got there, mate? Haney's carrying on like a jaded ex-girlfriend. Maybe it's a domestic violence case Ryan has to answer for. Well, talk about living rent-free in someone's head, Carl. Jeez, this is just bizarre. The infatuation that Devin Haney has for Ryan Garcia. I understand it would have been a massive blow to the ego of Devin Haney. Let's face it, all these guys at this level, all egomaniacs. That they all think they're the greatest fighters and no one can beat them, and that's obviously instilled into them as they come up the ranks. But this is just new level, Carl. So I think he's got to get over it. And like you said there, it's almost like a jaded ex-girlfriend, isn't it? He just needs to take a pill and lose Ryan Garcia's number, I think. Still with Carl, what's up? Tszyu Carrington didn't impress on the weekend. I thought that fight was a draw. The African guy definitely came to win. I didn't actually see the fight, Carl, so I can't comment on that, but I'll look it up on YouTube and catch the highlights anyway. But no, I didn't see that. Damien, Inoue and Canelo on the same card. I don't care who Canelo fights. I'm buying that one for sure. Yeah. Well, especially if I'm not quite familiar with, was it Mark who said it before? Whoever it was. But I know Batman's right across everything in the sport. So, yeah, look, if that's the case, then maybe it has got some legs. I don't know, but it would be massive, wouldn't it? I think if Canelo fights on the card, Damien, I think it would be a gimme type of fight. The fact he's backing up so quickly and he's going to be on the undercard, more of a showcase, keep busy type of fight. I don't think the opposition will be overly adventurous. Look, it could be William Skull, someone like that. Who knows? Maybe the IBF belt will that probably makes sense, doesn't it? Maybe he had to vacate the IBF belt for the Belunga fight because he didn't fight Skull. Maybe the reason why William Skull was so happy to step aside and didn't really make any ripples, maybe he was told that let's get past Belunga and then we'll put you in at the end of the year and give you a payday. Maybe, and he would be the perfect opponent for that card. Not really known, and not really a threat to Canelo, but on the same on the same thing, he would be fulfilling his IBF requirement. So yeah, it does make sense, doesn't it? Let's hope it is the case. I'll be buying it too, that's for sure. Yeah, he did fight Fielding 2 months after Triple G. He did. Yeah, he did, mate. Good call there, Batman. Mutzi, surely Nakatani doesn't take Inoue as his first fight at 122. He'd need at least one, if not two, up there first. You think? Yeah, I think so. You got to remember, though, Mutzi, that Inoue is not a 122-pound fighter. He's probably more that 118-pound fighter. I think that's his natural weight. He has obviously fought a lot lower than that Inoue. But I think 118 was his most comfortable weight. And I think he just moved up because the competition wasn't really there anymore. His brother was there as well. So maybe, and it was another challenge for him. So I don't think the 122-pound, well, the fact that Inoue has been at 122 pounds for a couple of fights, I don't think it's going to be a massive issue for Nakatani. I think actually Nakatani is probably the bigger man. So, but either way, look, I think this fight will probably happen. If it does, maybe the second half of 2025. I think Nail Inoue said that Nakatani has to fight his brother Takeem. What's his name? Inoue. What's his I know it's obviously Inoue. What's his brother's name? Takuma Inoue. So he's got to fight Takuma Inoue first, and then you throw in guys like Nishida and Takai as well. So there's a few fights there for Nakatani first. But I've got a feeling if that is the case, that he has to fight Takuma Inoue first, you would think that it would be the second half of 2025. But, geez, we're talking about Better Beav and Bivol. Give me Inoue versus Nakatani over that. I know that's a bold statement, but that would be a super fight of the ages, that fight. It would be massive. Oh, don't say that, Carl. Can't wait for Canelo, Jake Paul. Let's hope that never... Actually, I was going to say let's hope it never happens. I almost hope it does happen, just so Canelo can go in there. And I actually was hoping the same thing with Conor McGregor when he was talking about Pacquiao and maybe Canelo. They get in there with a guy who's not going to muck around and not going to carry them and actually goes in there and knocks them out, just to send a bit of a notice to all these YouTubers and celebrities or whatever it might be that this is not an easy sport. And that's why I loved what Anthony Joshua did to Francis Ngannou, just to make the MMA fighters sit back and go, well, okay, maybe these guys can fight. Maybe they can punch. And if they're serious about it, maybe we better stick to UFC. All right. Carl says, Tamutsi, I've heard Inoue and Goodman and Nakatani versus Inoue brother in Vegas. Then a showdown in Tokyo next year. Yeah, it sort of makes sense there, Carl. I'm not quite sure why. I get that Inoue and Goodman might be in Las Vegas. I don't think they would put Nakatani in and Takuma Inoue in Las Vegas on the undercard and bury it on the undercard. That's a massive fight in Japan. I don't think they would put that on the undercard of, even though it is Naoya Inoue, I think they would have Nakatani and Inoue or Takuma Inoue as a standalone in Japan. Yeah, I just think it would get lost on the undercard, and why I don't think the money would be there to pay Nakatani Inoue what they would want. So, but Naoya Inoue versus Goodman makes perfect sense. And I think Naoya Inoue would probably like that. I don't think he would rate Sam Goodman as anywhere near as highly as some of his recent opponents. So he might just think, well, let's go to Vegas. They want me to fight there. Yeah, this guy will do. I'll bowl him over in 3 or 4 rounds, come home and get a real fight after that. I'm not trying to disrespect Goodman here. I'm just saying I'm assuming how Naoya Inoue would view Goodman. All right, Mark. This bloke is in the know. He hasn't been wrong yet. If he is wrong, he's never going to hear the end of it from me. Well, mate, Mark, if obviously your mate is in the know, according to your statement there, so let's hope he's right. Yeah, and if Batman's backing you up, I'm not going to argue with that. No way. All right. Speaking of Batman, also there's a 168-pound guy from Japan, Koki Tyson, ranked 49th in the world, but I think they would go for a guy from Europe or USA. Could even be Billy. I think they would do Eubank, but may save that. Yeah, this is for Canelo. Maybe. As I said, I think William Skull ticks all the boxes as well. I just don't think it'll be one of the big guys. So it won't be. Let's have a look at who's ranked at the moment at super middleweight. So, I mean, would it be Pacheco? Probably not. He's got a fight coming up as well soon, so it won't be him. Maybe Billy, William Skull, as I just said. Really, there's not much else out there for Canelo. Look, if he fights on the undercard of Inoue, I don't think people are going to really care, are they? I mean, it's going to be another Rocky Fielding situation. Probably even not that, because at least Canelo was the main event in that fight. I don't think the Japanese or anyone, I don't think even boxing fans, of course, the David Benavidez fans are going to lay the boots in, as they always do. But if that is the case, I wouldn't care if Canelo fought. Let's see. Let's go. Pavel Silyagan. There you go. He's ranked number 15 with the WBA. He's ranked number 15 with the IBF. He's ranked. He's not ranked with the WBO, and he's not ranked with the WBC, I think. Is he? Anyway, but he's ranked in a couple, so you get my point. It won't be anyone of note, I wouldn't have thought. But, yeah, well, who knows? Let's hope it's the case. All right. I'm not sure if it happens the Japan fight, but I wouldn't be surprised. Canelo has mentioned Japan a few times, and he's done pretty much everything else. I think he keeps his, what's that one there, mate? Vegas dates, but wouldn't be surprised if he has a few showcases in between. Yeah, and that's why I respect Canelo so much, Batman. I know he cops a fair bit from fans, and I understand they want the David Benavidez fight, but this is a guy that fights at least twice a year. And it's cleaned out the 154, 160, and 168-pound divisions, bar David Benavidez. I'm not counting Morrell in there. I don't think Morrell's done anything to even come into the conversations of the Canelo fight. But Benavidez aside, he's cleaned out 3 divisions, won that 4th division at 175, chose to go up again. Well, he went back to 168, then he went back to 175. To fight Bivol, came up short, but that's why I've got so much respect for him. This guy is an icon of the sport. I have seen as well, Batman, he wants to fight in England at some stage as well. So who knows, maybe he could pop up on one of those cards, although they would be promoted by Turki Al-Sheikh, so maybe not going to happen anytime soon. You can say what you want about Benavidez, says Carl, but Canelo don't want that fight. Not sure I've ever seen a Mexican all-time great avoid the best fight in his division. Yeah. Look, it's hard to argue with you, Carl, because end of the day, Benavidez has been knocking on Canelo's door for probably an 18 months to 2 years now, and Canelo, for whatever reason, has decided not to fight David Benavidez. So I can't really find the argument that I'd like, Carl. But all I can say is, as I said, beside that fight, he's done everything required of him in boxing. Maybe there's something else he's looking at, a timeline factor. I don't know, but I just, on one hand, I'm not a massive fan of Benavidez, if I'm being honest, Carl. So on one hand, I'm like with Canelo, it's like, well, no, don't give him the satisfaction. But on the other hand, I want him to fight Benavidez just so no one has any reason anymore to be throwing shade at Canelo. So, all right, still with Carl. Haney needs to stick to fighting midgets and pensioners. Yeah. Yep. Still with Carl. How can you be unified and not fight for both belts? Got me stuffed. Yeah. I might do some delving into that, Carl. This is about Mikhailovich. Why is it only for the IBF belt? Is there, as I said, Carl, is there a little bit maybe at play here where No Limit have said, look, we're not interested in fighting for the WBO belt? I couldn't understand why they wouldn't want to fight for it, but if that is the case with the rehydration thing, maybe they've said to Mikhailovich, hey, don't worry about the WBO belt. Let's get this guy with the IBF, so he's got to have that rehydration clause, and it gives us an even better chance to win. Don't know, but yeah, it doesn't make much sense considering that Mikhailovich is ranked 4th, Carl. So, yep, Batman, vacant spots in the rankings is ridiculous. Yep. All right, Mark, still with your mate. Okay, you mate. Let's see if you can get on here and comment, you mate. Same person told me the exact scorecards for the Sandy Ryan Mayer fight a few days ago. Wow. Did he also tell you that Sandy Ryan was going to have paint thrown over her? It wasn't your mate, was it? Your mate didn't run out and throw paint over Sandy Ryan and affect proceedings, did he, Mark? How bizarre is that, by the way? A masked man out of the darkness of the shadows of New York throws red paint over Sandy Ryan. Yeah, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it? So, but yeah, okay. The exact scorecards. What were the scorecards? I think it was a mandatory. Was it? Was it 90? Sorry, not mandatory. A majority decision. 95, 95. What were the other ones? 96, 94? Was it? So, yeah. We didn't get the fight, obviously, here, Mark. I had to watch it on YouTube after the fact. But I thought it was close, but I thought Mayo just done enough. And I didn't really like that, and I'm a fan of Sandy Ryan. I think she can fight, but I didn't like the fact after it that she pretty much blamed the paint incident for the loss. I mean, you'd be a little bit off-put by it, wouldn't you? But I'm sure after about 5 or 10 minutes, you'd be, okay, all right, well, let's get on with it. We'll go to the arena and fight now. I didn't like the fact she used that as an excuse. Yes, Batman, hit the like. Thank you. So it was before the fight was finished. This person is definitely in the know. Well, all right. Not going to question him, Mark. The winner of Better Be versus Bivol. Where would you rank them at light heavyweight all time? Top 5, top 10. You put me on the spot a bit there, Garden Snake. Top 10, I'm probably thinking. There's been some good light heavyweights over the years. I mean, I won't go through them at the moment, but the ones that obviously come to mind straight away is Archie Moore, Michael Spinks. I mean, you got even guys like Dwight Muhammad Kawi, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, not Dick Turpin, who was it? Anyway, there's been some good light heavyweights over the years. So I'm going to say top 10, Garden Snake, not top 5 yet. I'd have to have a good look at the all-time fighters in that division and then make my call. But I think definitely, though, top 10. All right, Axie Man, just read on Twitter that Janibek is due to arrive here on Wednesday morning. Well, where's my phone? I'm going to put on a bet. Surely Wednesday morning. So he's going to recover So, and the thing is too, if you've ever flown internationally, you know that your body does expand. You do tend to retain fluid. You're not obviously not doing any training for the couple of days that you're on the plane, or day and a half, whatever it might be. You can't eat on the plane, all that sort of stuff. And as I said, your body tends to retain water and expand a little bit. So he's going to get there on Wednesday morning. Probably the first thing he's going to want to do is go to sleep, but he's going to have to train. The weigh-in will be Thursday. He's going to have literally 24 hours to get the weight off. Now, maybe he's done the hard work before he's got here. Maybe he hits weight before he leaves on the plane. So when he gets here, he might have 2 or 3 kilos he's got to take off, which won't be a problem. Wow, that is correct, Axie man. That is truly unbelievable. That is bizarre. Whether it's by necessity, maybe No Limit said, we don't want you here till Wednesday. Who knows? If they did, another act of genius on their behalf. But wow, if Mikhailovich can't beat Janibek on Friday night, he's never going to beat him. So, yeah, Carl agrees. That's crazy. I'm definitely putting a few bob on Andre. Yeah. Tommy, saw Fundora's manager say Bud and Fundora today supposed to be the last 4 negotiations before purse bid. I heard Jermell is back. So how do you see that all playing out? Yeah, I did see that, Tommy. That Samson Lukovic did say, Lukovic, whatever how you pronounce it, did say that it's not Spence they're after. They want Bud. The problem they've got is, of course, is that Bud doesn't want Fundora at this stage. He wants Canelo. So I would think that once Canelo decides which way he's going to go for his May fight, or maybe even the September fight, I'm thinking probably May would be his big fight, that I think Bud Crawford will be a little bit in limbo. And I like the fact that Fundora wants Bud. Eventually, I think it comes down to Canelo. One domino has to fall, and then, of course, they'll all fall. Because if Canelo says, I'm going to fight Diego Pacheco in May, then Bud will then have no choice but to probably either fight Fundora or retire. Or, who knows, maybe he might want to fight Tim. If Tim wins, well, that's if he fights, according to whoever was on there before, said it might be the end of the year. But if Tim wins that impressively, maybe it's Tim that he wants. But Fundora does make a lot of sense while he's got those belts and has that win over Tim. But, yeah, I think there's a couple of dominoes that have to fall at the moment, Tommy. If Jermell is back, that creates even more possibilities. I like the fact he is back. He's got a long way to go, though, I think, Jermell. Tommy, I think what's it been, a year since he lost to Canelo? And this is the first we've heard that he's coming back. He could be months and months away. I'm gonna go out on a limb and just put a line through Jermell. I think he's finished in boxing as a force. Probably not necessarily lost to the sport as far as fighting again. I just don't think he comes back and be's a player at all, if I'm being honest. I think if he does, that'd be great because it adds more to the mix of the 154-pound division. But I think that it's Bud. Well, even he's on the way, isn't he? But it's Fundora, it's Tim, it's Madrimov, it's Ortiz, Bolachuk maybe. Yeah, that's interesting. But the way I see it playing out, I think that Canelo will not choose Bud in May. I know I've sort of said a couple of times I think it could be the case. I've got a feeling he won't choose Bud. Bud will then, I think, fight Fundora. And Fundora will hang out until the Canelo fight's announced, or not announced. Well, the fact he's not going to fight, Bud gets announced. Then I think it's Bud Fundora gets made for early 2025. All right, Carl. I never understood the Haney Garcia fight. Haney was only fighting for titles and moving through 135 and 140. Then he took a U-turn and fought Ryan. I know it's for the money. I think also, Carl, that Devin Haney saw what Tank Davis did to Ryan Garcia and probably didn't really rate him enough. I know they had those amateur fights, and I think it was it 50-50, I think at the time, 3-3. I just think he maybe got a bit ahead of himself, didn't count on Ryan Garcia turning up in good condition. He certainly didn't count on him coming in 3 pounds overweight, and that's why he's crying foul now. So Haney was only fighting for titles. Yeah, well, he was. He was probably on his way to 147, wasn't he? And now it's all in disarray. So, all right, Big J. Thoughts on PBS on 7+. I don't think it makes it to 2025. Okay, all the major players, Robinson, Ogden, and Winwood, all lost, so no champion stars to carry into 2025. Is it really about that though, Big J? Are they really about sort of getting behind certain fighters? I just thought it was a platform to put all those no limit aligned fighters on cards and just having content. Look, the one thing I have sort of noticed, actually, the last one was pretty good, wasn't it? No, that was Will Thomason. That was no limit on Fox. What was the last? The Winwood fight was the last one, of course. Yeah, I don't know. Well, Robinson didn't lose, did she? That was a draw, wasn't it? Hang on, mental blank tonight. Sorry. Ogden got the win back, but yeah, I'm not sure. It's not like it's no limit. I don't think, Big J, where they're actively getting behind certain fighters and trying to pad their records and push them along. I think PBS on 7+ is more just about having good quality fights between good young up and coming fighters. So look, I don't know. Well, maybe what I can probably gather though is that when Angelo DiCarlo sat down with when Angelo DiCarlo sat down with 7+, 7+ probably would have said, okay, we'll give you 12 dates, whatever the hell it was, over a 12-month period, and then we'll evaluate our ratings and how the shows are being run and all that sort of stuff. And I don't think there's been any reason so far for 7+ to be disappointed in the quality of shows. I think they've all been quite good. Some better than others, but I think across the board they've been quite solid. So I think take the fact out that maybe some of the headline fighters haven't delivered. I would have thought that 7+ would have been pretty happy with their ratings and the quality of fights they've put on. So I don't know, mate. You've obviously got your ear to the ground, so let us know what you think. Damien again there. The rumoured date for the Japan card is Christmas Eve. I think that would be amazing. An amazing Christmas Eve fight during the late evening for us here too. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Imagine that on Christmas Eve. We just finished watching Christmas Vacation on DVD, and then you can switch over and watch Inoue and Canelo on a headlining card over in Japan. Wow. I must say that is one thing I have welcomed with the Riyadi cards. They put cards on close to Christmas and around those really good times of year, because in the past, promoters have predominantly stayed away from anywhere near a public holiday or an event or a holiday or an occasion or whatever it might be. They've just, especially something like Christmas. So the fact that promoters, starting with Turkey Al-Sheikh and now maybe this one, are looking at around Christmas fights, fight cards, I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. And look, the Americans do it really well too, don't they? Because they have basketball on Christmas Eve. They have football as well, I think it is, whatever it is. But they have all those big events on Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, New Year's Day, all those Thanksgiving, I think they do it as well. So all those great holidays. And that's something, as I said, we don't tend to do here in Australia. But if that is the case, Damien, I would love to have that in, to look forward to on Christmas Eve when you sit down and have your family gathering, your eggnog, and watch a Christmas movie, and then you watch the fight card. That would be awesome. All right, Garden Snake, Canelo versus Jake Paul. Jake gets to weigh in whatever he wants, and Canelo has to come in at 168, 10 million pay-per-view buys. Good in theory, Garden Snake, but I don't like it in the fact that there's any rules or conditions on that fight at all. I get where you're coming from there to sort of even it up a little bit, but I would hope that Canelo, who's shown he's got a bit of conviction, hasn't he, with the Turkey Al-Sheikh dealings, that he would say, if you want to fight the number one fighter in the sport, arguably, I know, I'm just putting it out there, or the biggest draw in the sport in Canelo, then you have to fight me at 168, or maybe Canelo goes up to 175. The issue with that is, though, Garden Snake too, is that Jake Paul, he's fighting at heavyweight now, isn't he? Or cruiserweight. He's fighting at cruiserweight. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure that can happen. Jake Paul would have to come down, you would think, to about, what is he fighting at, 200? You think he'd have to come down to at least 185, I would have thought, and Canelo would go up. But either way, mate, it would do massive numbers. Or would it? If you think about it. Now, the real fight fans are going to turn off that fight in droves. A lot of people will say, not interested. This is right, real fight fans I'm talking about. Will say, not interested, not going to watch that shit. No, they will not buy it out of principle. Then you've got the Jake Paul side of things with his little YouTuber mates and his fans, are they really going to know who Canelo is? So does it really get those 10 million buys? I don't know. I think the Mike Tyson fight has a lot better chance, if it does happen, by the way, has a lot better chance of winning 10 million. Not that it's a pay-per-view, of course, but having 10 million probably plus because it's free than Canelo. So it's let's hope that never happens, Garden State. Jeez. G'day, Glenn. How are you, mate? Welcome to the show. Canelo versus Skull, definitely. Definitely. And Inoue versus that Aussie dwarf. What a great Christmas present. Jump on the Aussies there, Damien. He's gonna need all the luck and support he can get. Old Sammy Goodman. He's still talking up about that fight, so he wants it. Good luck to him, I suppose. He's going to get his opportunity. He's going to get a payday. It's going to be a tough way to earn that money, but at least he's throwing his hat in the ring, and good luck to him. Wonder why Inoue skipped 112. Chocolatito and Estrada were there. Yeah, it's a good call, Carl. It's a little bit like Pacquiao. I think he skipped 140 technically. I know he fought Ricky Hatton at 140, and it was for the Ring Magazine belt, I think it was. So it wasn't for a real belt. So he skipped the 140-pound division. I'm pretty sure he might have skipped one of the earlier divisions as well. Was it maybe super? No, did he win super flyweight or bantamweight? Whatever the hell it was anyway. I'm pretty sure he might have skipped one as well. But it's a good point there, Carl. He skipped 112 with Chocolatito, Estrada, the Thai as well, Ray, what was his name? Revisan, or whatever his name was. And who else was there? Estrada, Quadros as well, or Quadros. So there were some great fighters at 112. Your guess is as good as mine there, Carl. All right, Big J. Andre only fighting Janibek because of the rehydration clause, 10 pounds day of weigh-in of the IBF. If WBO was involved, that clause would not apply. Again, advantage to Andre. Yeah, that's what I thought, Big J, that maybe that was the case where they've said, we're not worried about the WBO belt. We want the IBF belt because he's going to have to make weight or the rehydration weight. And look, if Andre does win that fight this weekend, then you would think that the WBO would then probably want him to probably fight for the belt, and he would then fight someone like who's the next one at WBO? Might be Shiraz, number one contender. So, or Shane Mosley Jr. Who knows? But Andre is $7.25 on Sportsbet right now. Dan might do a sneaky 100. It's well worth it, Damien. Yeah. Geez, Wednesday. Can you believe that? If that is the case, that is just nuts. Carl says, I couldn't care less about the revenue a fighter creates. I'm more interested in them beating the best guys in the respective division. Yep, amen to that, Carl. I agree. Inoue and Nakatani, December next year for sure. Yeah, yep, definitely second half of the year, Damien. Now, that would be a fight worth jumping on a plane and going to Japan for. Granted, might not get a ticket. Might be pretty tough. You might have to buy a corporate ticket or whatever. It might cost you $1,000 a ticket. I don't know. But, wow, what a fight that would be. And knowing how the Japanese go about things, you would say that they'd probably have 3 or 4 world title fights on the undercard as well. So they do it pretty well over there, don't they? Inoue Goodman is on Christmas Eve in Tokyo with the brother on the undercard. Okay, well, you say that like you know what's going on, Big J, so I'm not going to argue with that. Okay, so that's... Well, I can't get over there for that. I missed Easter this year with the Tim Tszyu fight. I certainly can't miss Christmas. So, and actually, I only get back. I'm going overseas at the end of November, so I'll be back about mid-December. So yeah, I won't be able to get to that one, unfortunately. But yeah, well, there you go. Sound like you know what you're talking about, Big J. So I'll take you at your word. It will be Skull for sure. Then Canelo is undisputed again. Peter says Canelo is an all-time great, and 100 he beats David, who isn't Bivol. I agree with you, Peter. I've said all along. I think David Benavidez is I won't say easy work for Canelo, but I think Canelo wins that fight decisively. All right, Carl. I think Canelo beats Benavidez as well. Yep, and I'm with you, Carl. I just want to see the fight. Any whispers about Paro's next fight? No, Mutsy. No, I've actually asked a few people about that. Now, maybe they do know and they just won't tell me because I know I get on here every Monday night. But I know George was thrown out there a fair bit. It's not going to be George. Well, let's see. I know it's probably, not going to be Haney. Who's the mandatory for him? Was he IBF? So Richardson Hitchens, yeah, okay. Jack Cattrall, won't be Matthias. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Nah, I've heard nothing, Mutsy, but I know that he wants to fight before the end of the year, but he's running out of time. Eddie Hearn wants the fight here. I think Angelo DiCarlo, they want the fight here as well. I think if anyone's earned a defence here in Australia or a fight here in Australia, it's Liam Paro. So it's just a matter where they can get someone here before the end of the year. Jack Massey has a high opinion of himself and he's a hard man, but he's about to get a reality check. Yeah, look, he's tough, Peter. He'll give Jai all he can handle. Don't worry about that. But look, class just rises to the top, doesn't it? I just think he'll have his moments maybe early, I suppose. Although Jai's normally razor sharp early, so maybe it's probably the opposite. Maybe it's later in the fight if he looks to Marius Breedis for a bit of inspiration, getting to Jai as the fight goes on and finishing strong. But you just get the impression that Jai Patai sees this as a bit of a statement fight. And I think Jack Massey is perfectly suited to Jai Patai's style. He's not the hard nut and great champion that Marius Breedis was, so I don't think he's got it in him to do what he did late in both fights to Jai. I just think he's a very, very well-matched fight for Apatai, and I think Jai gets the job done quite decisively in that one. Yet Benavidez doesn't want to fight Morrell. Well, that's just according to Morrell, though, Damien. Let's see how all that settles or plays out as we go. All right, Big J. Did a funny thing at the Storm game. This is the Melbourne Storm. After the game, went to Coles to get a cooked chook and started eating it as a Roosters fan started leaving the game. Yelled that the chook tasted great tonight. Yeah, they pounded them, didn't they? Now, I always look to see whether the Storm have won or not. But I've never been to a game and probably never will. But I did watch the last probably 15 minutes of the game. It was the night before the grand finals. There was not really much happening, so I put the game on and yeah, it was great for the Melbourne Storm, Big J. I seen them, I think, they get about 3 tries in about that time. So I don't understand the game, but I'm happy for the Melbourne Storm, and let's hope that they can bring home the cup next Sunday, I think, isn't it? So, but you are a crazy bugger. If you haven't seen Big J on the socials, guys, make sure you get on there. What was the one, Big J, you were on one of the radio stations? Put it in the chat. Which one you're on, and you went in there and I think, did you sing happy birthday to one of them or something? I don't know, but you are definitely out there, mate. Glenn says Morrell doesn't have a belt, and Damien says, well, neither does Benavidez. Well, good point. He has an interim, though, doesn't he? Is the interim WBC, was it? I think it was. So at the moment, a WBC. So is he interim? David Morrell is a regular WBA champion. And Joshua Buatsi is the interim WBO champion. The only one that doesn't have an interim or regular champion is the IBF. They've just got Arda Beterbiev sitting there all by himself, which is the way it should be. Interim champions, regular champions. What a load of crap. Batman agrees. He's got Canelo beating Benavidez. Yes, if it happens. Yep, with an asterisk there, Batman. Glenn says he's mandatory for the Ginger Ones WBC belt. Fight him or relinquish the belt. It's not very hard to understand. Well, that is one thing I'll agree with you with there, Glenn. Whether he decides to fight Benavidez or not, the fact is that David Benavidez is or was the WBC interim champion. Now, at the moment, he's not the interim champion. And if you remember, Glenn, that's technically not right what you're saying there, because Benavidez had the opportunity to decide whether he wanted to be the number one 168-pound fighter or 175-pound fighter, and he chose 175. So if Canelo's goal was to avoid him or duck him, if that's the right word, and make him wait it out, well, he succeeded because David Benavidez at the moment is the interim 175-pound champion. So Canelo owes him nothing at the moment. I get what you're saying. It's only a technicality. But that is the case as it stands at the moment, that David Benavidez is not ranked at 168, so Canelo doesn't owe him shit. So he seems to have won that little mini battle with Benavidez. And I don't agree with it, by the way, Glenn. I think I'm with you there, that if Canelo, this is even in the last 2 years when David Benavidez was the number one challenger, that if he didn't fight him, at least in the first 12 months, or maybe even 18 months, that the Canelo should have been stripped. I'm with you there, mate, that he should have been stripped in the past. Oh, Big J. What is this? How good was the AFL Grand Final? Now those loser Swans can fly back to Sydney, take those Roosters with them. Ha ha, both losers and wankers. Not a great weekend for Sydney, was it, Big J? On Friday night, the Roosters were obliterated by the mighty Storm. And on Saturday, the Sydney Swans were absolutely taken apart by the Brisbane Lions. So good on Brisbane. Not only was I barracking for them, I also won some money on them. I put some money, it was only like $25 or something, about 4 or 5 weeks ago at, might have been $4 it was, $4 odds, and so I won $100. Woohoo! So I had a win, but yeah, Sydney Swans, geez, what a disgraceful performance that was. Absolutely pathetic, the performance they put up in the grand final. But again, good luck to the mighty Brisbane Lions / Fitzroy Lions. All right, Peter. People talking shit about Canelo have zero knowledge on boxing. Yeah, I tend to agree, Peter. I think there's one thing look. I think when it comes to Canelo, you might not even like him personally or whatever. You might not definitely like what he's done about the Benavidez situation by avoiding Benavidez. But if you look at his body of work over the journey, this guy is, I said it before, he is an icon of the sport. And I know there'll be some people that aren't happy with him because of the Benavidez situation and maybe put an asterisk beside his legacy. Absolutely not. I don't like the fact he hasn't fought Benavidez, but you cannot deny Canelo as just a first ballot Hall of Famer. He'll be straight in there. Yeah, I'm with you there, Peter. It's not hard to tell the It's not hard to tell the WBC to mandate him, but for some reason they never did. Well, I'm pretty sure they might have mandated him at one stage, Damien, and Canelo just simply said, "Well, I'm Canelo Alvarez. I'll do whatever the hell I want." And Suleiman, who is obviously a Mexican himself, WBC is a Mexican organization. Excuse me. I know it's the World Boxing Council, but it's always been Mexican-based and run by Mexicans. That they've never mandated it. Oh, sorry, I think they've mandated, but never pushed it, never threatened to strip Canelo, which I think is a travesty. As much as I'm a fan of Canelo, as I said just before, I think they should have stripped Canelo if he refused to fight Benavidez. Well, they did it with Charlo as well, didn't they? So, where are we? Peter says Bivol stops Benavidez late in the fight. Big statement, Peter. What are we? We're less than 2 weeks away. Wow. I will be doing a live watch along for that one too, guys, for the Benavidez and Bivol fight card. I can't say it's going to be too early in the morning, but I'll definitely be doing the watch along for at least Jai's fight and this fight. Although Jai's a little bit down the card, isn't he? So I might have to just check that out. I don't want to be getting up sort of before 5 o'clock. I'm old. I'm getting old. I like my sleep on a Sunday, but I might have to if I do that, maybe I just won't go to bed because the thought of going to bed and getting up at 3 or 4 in the morning just doesn't sit well. But anyway, on that fight, Peter, look, I think Bivol wins. I'm not sure he stops Benavidez though. Benavidez is a tough guy. I think Bivol wins on points. All right, Glenn. Asking the bloke to fight his long-standing mandatory is not putting shit on him. It's just what he should do. Yeah, no, I agree with that as well, Glenn. No, 100% I agree. It's not putting shit on him. It's making a point, and it's a valid point. And again, I'll say, if Canelo in the last 2 years should have been stripped by the WBC. So the IBF didn't muck around. They said, fight William Sculler, we're gonna strip you. And this is who is William Sculler, by the way? So fight him, we're going to strip you. Canelo said, all right, well, I'm not going to fight him. And they stripped him straight away. This is what the WBC should have done. They've always been the preeminent or the dominant sanctioning body. I know they've always had a lot of flaws, don't get me wrong, but in my opinion, I've always seen the WBC as the belt. If you put all the champions or put all the fighters together and said, okay, what belt do you want to fight for? I'm pretty sure 99% of them would say, I want to fight for that WBC belt. I want the green belt. So they've just hurt their own image, I suppose, Glenn. But it's not hard to say, hey, look, fight David Benavidez within 6 months, or we're going to strip you. Simple as that. And then strip him. Didn't have the balls to do it, Glenn. Sure, if anyone else was in that situation, they would have done it, but not the golden boy. What's that? Yeah, him telling the WBC to do the job isn't hard either. Yeah, good call, Damien. So what you're saying is that Canelo should fight whoever he likes and gets to keep his belts. That is what's wrong with boxing. No, I'm not sure you're talking to me or someone else said, Glenn, but I'm with you. I agree with you. I don't think Canelo should... look, I think to some point, we've seen it with all the superstars of boxing. There is a few little unwritten rules for them. I get that. Mayweather, Pacquiao, De La Hoya, all those, I understand it. But in this situation here, you might get away with it for a year, maybe even 18 months, but he got away with it for 2 years. So I'm with you there, Glenn. So I'm saying he should be able to fight whoever he likes, but I'm not saying he should be able to keep his belts. I think the WBC should have stripped him 100%. Carl says it took Bud 4 years to get the Errol fight. How long will the PBC make him wait for this one? Good question, Carl. We'll soon see. All right, this is about Janibek. If he misses weight again, immediately should be stripped. We have to stop glorifying and feeling sympathy for weight bullies. Well, Garden Snake, I said this earlier in the year when it happened. This is probably before I started to do the walking boxing segments. I actually did when I was out walking one morning, I actually did a video about the subject with Janibek. I said he should have been stripped on the spot of both those belts, and Mikhailovich should have been matched against the next best contender as soon as possible, and had an opportunity to fight for those belts. I know it's worked out okay. What is it? Only 3 months later, 2.5 months later, that he's going to get his crack, and that's great. But we talk about with the WBC, with Canelo and Benavidez, well, what's wrong with these sanctioning bodies? If you miss weight, this is I suppose in this instance, though, he didn't actually miss weight, did he? He was pulled out on medical grounds. So obviously they've found the loophole, Janibek's management team, and said, well, hang on. If he weighs in and misses weight, he loses the belts. If he doesn't weigh in at all, well, we just pull out of the fight and he retains the belts because we just say he's medically not fit. So that's probably another loophole that has to be fixed, I think. I know it's a hard one because they could say, well, he's come down with an illness, or they can always invent something, I suppose, or he's hurt his hand, whatever. But there's got to be harsher penalties in place, Garden Snake, because I was really pissed for Mikhailovich. And I'm not his biggest fan, but I was pissed for him because he'd done all the work to get over there. He'd sacrificed a 10, 12-week training camp, whatever it might have been, went over there in good faith, and the day before the fight, they pull it. Just crazy. And Janibek just walks away with both his belts. It's ridiculous. So I'm with you there, Garden Snake. All right, Damien, looks like we've got a bit on the Canelo-Benavidez situation tonight. Benavidez should make the WBC mandate him or do a Haney and sue them. If he wanted it that badly, he would have done it, or not be overweight and doing drugs to lose the belt he had in the first place. Both good calls, Damien. But this is the other thing with the legal side of things. You're right. Is there something in place that Benavidez can sue the WBC and say, look, these are your rules. As per your rules, I am the number one challenger. Canelo is obligated to fight me within 6 to 12 months, whatever it might be. I've been waiting 2 years. You strip him or I'm going to sue you for damages. Purse, you probably would have made $10 million out of the fight, $15 million, whatever it is. You could say this is restraint of trade. You are allowing your champion to not fight me. I'm missing out on a $10 to $15 million, or let's say $10 million payday. I want restitution. So again, it opens up a can of worms, doesn't it? Maybe I'm not usually for lawsuits, Damien, but maybe something like that does have to happen for sanctioning bodies like the WBC to say, well, shit, we've got to make him fight him or strip him, or else we're going to be sued. I like it. But I'm with you as far as the second point goes as well. He has been overweight, has been done for drugs in the past. So maybe don't throw stones just at the moment. All right, Glenn. I'm not quite sure what that was in response to. I'll let you guys sort that out in the chat. Dana White with Turkey combined on the UFC Fight Pass platform is where I heard the boxing matches will be on. Do you see it taking off? Oh, good question, Garden Snake. Now, obviously, Dana White coming into boxing on the UFC Fight Pass platform, though. Does that make sense that we put boxing on a UFC Fight Pass platform? It probably does. It saves costs and everything else. But I've been not really positive about Dana White's entry into boxing, Garden Snake. I just don't see where Dana White fits into the sport. We've got, obviously Turkey doing things with Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya. So how are those guys going to? And they've got all the big fighters in boxing. So if Turkey then brings Dana White into the equation, what does Oscar and Eddie have to say about that? And do they get the nose out of joint? And maybe the relationship with those guys and Turkey Al-Sheikh gets strained? I don't know. But not just that, but all the best fighters in boxing are all tied up at the moment. So if Dana White just comes in, it's not like he can come in and throw a heap of dollars at these guys, because he's been renowned for not paying his fighters big money. And I know UFC is different to boxing. I get that. Lots of different things. But Eddie and Oscar and Top Rank and PBC have got a monopoly. I know they all sort of work in with Turkey Al-Sheikh in one way or another. Not probably PBC, or do they? Whatever. They do, yes. No, whatever. But Turkey Al-Sheikh seems to work with all the big players in boxing at the moment. So I'm not quite sure where Dana White comes into the equation. And it's not like it's going to be money that sways the fighters. It's not going to be the events, because we've already got big events happening. I'm just not sure how it all works, Garden State. Now, maybe we're talking club shows that he puts on the Fight Pass. I don't know, but again, I just don't see where Dana White fits. All right, Peter. If Fundora fights Tszyu, we will see Tszyu destroy him as he was about to do before the cut. Yeah, I'm with you to some extent, Peter. From what I saw, I think that Tim Tszyu absolutely lit Fundora up, but it was for 2 rounds. That's all we saw. Now, how many times have we seen in the past where a fighter has dominated someone for 2 rounds and it can turn? Now, if you want my opinion, I don't think that was going to happen in this instance. I think Tim Tszyu was going to absolutely dominate Fundora and maybe probably stop him late. That was the way I saw it, but we'll never know. But we may get to see it next time around. I really want Tim to get that opportunity with Fundora. I get the impression that Fundora, maybe not Fundora himself, but I don't think his team wants the Tszyu rematch. Or if they do, they want to get a fight with a Bud or a Spence and hopefully maybe get a win over one of those guys, and then maybe look at Tim. I think what the aim might be is to fight one of those guys, let Tim hopefully win the IBF belt, maybe get a couple of fights under his belt, and then hopefully they fight for all the belts down the track. So I don't think Fundora really wants Tszyu unless he really has to. And I think he would see the other guys, maybe not so Crawford, but definitely all the other guys in the division being a hell of a lot more beatable than what Tim Tszyu is. And remember, Fundora was in the ring with Tim. So he would have seen, well, maybe didn't see all those punches coming at him. He knows probably obviously better than anyone what Tim Tszyu has to offer. And that's why I don't think it's high on his wish list at the moment to fight Tim Tszyu again until he absolutely has to. I think he realises at some stage he's going to have to fight him again. But I think he's going to make Tim wait as long as possible. Still with Peter, I heard Fennick in an interview with Lester's son, and he said, once your chin goes, you're finished. AJ and Haney, yeah, he is 100% correct there, Peter, and we have seen it in the past where fighters get knocked out and they're never really the same after that. I'm not really putting Haney in that position. He got knocked down a few times, but I don't think they were like real devastating knockdowns. AJ is probably a little bit different. He's been bashed around a little bit, and the last fight he was actually knocked down and out by Dubois. So I do agree to some extent AJ might be damaged goods going forward, but I don't think Haney, not just yet anyway, he's not the sort of fighter that's taken a lot of punishment over the journey. Yeah, he got dropped a couple of times by, three or four times by Haney, but I don't think it'll have any long-lasting effects physically, but definitely mentally, which is what we're seeing already, aren't we, with these lawsuits and the overturning of the result, all these different things. So yeah, it's lots of things that come into play with boxing rather than just physical ability. All right, Damien. Last year's Day of Reckoning was Christmas Eve morning, remember? And the Inoue fight was Boxing Day, was so good. Yeah, I forgot about the Inoue fight. You're right. Yeah, it was a great weekend of boxing, wasn't it? Christmas Vacation is hysterical, probably the best Chevy Chase. It is JYD. I watch it every Christmas Eve without fail. It's our. I'm sure everyone has a Christmas Eve movie they go to. Mine is Christmas Vacation. Peter heard that Breeders will fight Jake Paul next year. Well, that's going to end pretty badly for Jake Paul, you would think. Unless Breedis just comes back for the money, who knows? But I don't know. I thought Breedis had retired after losing the Jai. Well, he had actually, man. But money talks, doesn't it? Imagine the sound of Canelo shots in Japan. Well, it's always a little bit quiet in the arena, isn't it, Batman? I think they would. I'm not sure. Would the Japanese people will probably, or fans probably wouldn't know what to make of Canelo, would they? But I think it'd be great. I think it would be if that is the case. Breedis said he was up for the Paul fight. Well, that's great, but I don't think Paul is up for Breedis. I wouldn't have thought. If Jake KOs Mike Tyson or beats him up, I think boxing fans will be upset and get behind Canelo to KO Jake. I don't put anything past the money fight era. I'm still to be convinced that fight actually takes place, Garden Snake. I think Mike Tyson, what are we, 2 months away from the fight, I think? About 2 months? Less. Probably about 6 weeks away. I'll be still very surprised if the fight takes place, Garden Snake. But what is it? I think boxing fans will be upset. All right. Can you just imagine Jake Paul? Oh, my God. He'll be carrying on like he's just beaten, Mike Tyson at his peak. It'll be crazy. I've just beaten one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, so that makes me one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. You can just imagine it. There's pound for pound king. How are you, mate? I won't put that up there, Shyla. Deep dive tours for Inoue Nakatani. Pencil it in, Damien. I did see the Japanese flights at the moment. You get them, well, they sort of vary, but I think you're looking anywhere between sort of $1,200 to $1,500 for economy to Japan. So it's not too bad. Not quite sure of premium economy or business, but yeah, not bad at all. What's that, Carl Paro Puella? Yeah, good call there. Didn't even think of him there, Carl. That would be an awesome fight. Yep, unification for the WBC and IBF. BJ, I was on the Today Show on Thursday. I forgot to call out the chump for the fight, kicking myself and missed an opportunity for the Janibek Andre undercard. Damn it! You're on the Today Show. Was that with Karl Stefanovic? Was it? That is nuts, Big J. How's the YouTube show been going, by the way? I haven't really been watching a lot lately, but let us know how you're cracking there. Yeah, Pello would be a good one. He would. What's to go with the big Kambosos news? Well, it's been big news for about 3 weeks, Damien. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. You would think that... I heard he wants to fight before the end of the year, if not in January. I know it might have been reported that it might have been the first portion of 2025, but I've heard a couple of different stories anyway. But the big news, well, what are we? Almost into October, so you would think that that news should be forthcoming any old day. I did see they were at the football on the weekend. Not a great weekend for the Kambosos boys. They were down here watching the Roosters and the Swans, and both of them got absolutely caned. Yep, Carl, shout out to the mighty Brisbane Lions. Absolutely pumped Sydney 2024 champions. Jai, like the late great Macho Man Randy Savage, the cream will rise to the top. I'm with you there, Big J. Paul, what have I missed? What have you missed? Don't know, mate. You better go back and watch it afterwards. Okay. David didn't activate. Well, why wouldn't he activate, though, pound for pound king? This is in regards to Canelo. If he's doing all this talking, why wouldn't you activate? Jules, hello to you too. Peach. Those thongs are never far away. Have we seen a card for this show? No, we're just saying before, Jules. Apart from Shannon and Maya Motu, we haven't got any fights. I won't. Actually, while we're going, I'll bring it up. See, I did check it this morning, but schedule. Where are we? Friday. What is it? October 4th. Let's have a look. I don't think... well, geez, a few fights on Friday. Maybe... All right. There's too many fights on there. I won't look it up. But as far as I know, there was only 2 fights. But for Peach, yeah, well, look, surely... If you're watching Peach, I doubt you are, but can you bring a pair of shoes with you this time? I did hear, I can't remember the time when he went to England with one of his fighters. It was absolutely freezing cold over there, and he still wore the thongs. So work that one out. I'm just going to type in Shannon's name because that was I always spell wrong. All right, so as we stand, where are we? Nope, 2 fights. Janibek, Inoue versus Andre Mikhailovich, 12 rounds for the IBF title, and Miyamoto, Shannon O'Connell hasn't actually got the rounds, but I think it's only a 6-rounder too. So there's another bit of information. Oh no, sorry, was it maybe 8? An 8-rounder, sorry. It's an 8-rounder. So we've got an 8-round female fight. So that's equivalent to about a 5-round, maybe a 6-round male fight as far as time goes. And then we've got the main event. So if you're paying, the tickets were, I think, I started at $120, I think, and went up to a couple of $100. So if you've got that spare and you're in Sydney, then and you want a couple of hours to kill, maybe in between betting in the casino or whatever, then go watch the card because it's not going to take long by the sounds of things. James, Tszyu should fight winner of Fundora and Spence. Yeah, well, I'm sure that's what Tim wants, James. Depends, it's just a matter of what Fundora wants. All right, Damien, there's no point in even watching the grand final. Most years are always blowouts. It's bullshit. I'm out after halftime. Well, not so much, Damien. Well, last year we had Collingwood Brisbane, of course. That was only 4 points. The year before that was a blowout. The year before that was a blowout. The year before that was a blowout. The year before that was a blowout in 19. 18 was probably the last time before last year we got a half-decent game. That was 5 points. And the cherry on top was that Collingwood lost that grand final. So I wonder if Australia gets this better be a fight for $15 like everyone else. Is it actually, it's on, where is it, Dame? Is it on DAZN or is it, I think it is, isn't it? Hang on, I'll have a quick look. Or is it on main event here? Well, if it's on here, it definitely won't be $15, Damien, not with Jai Pataya on the undercard. You would think that they'll do what they've done with Tim. No, not Tim. Yes, Tim, $70. All right, now I don't think it is on DAZN, is it? Hang on, maybe it is. No, oh, there it is. Yep, available to buy soon. So it's not actually up yet. So it's definitely not on Foxtel. I'll have a quick look at that as well. What's going on with Foxtel at the moment, or main event, I should say. All right. So we've got the UFC, we've got WrestleMania, we've got Tszyu and Murtazaliev. What do you think about paying $70 for that, guys? And the rest of the world has it for free. Then we've got UFC again on the 27th of October. So, yeah, all right. So it's going to be DAZN, no cost in there. Well, it is $15, Damien. Yeah, I think so. I think we will get it. I don't think, well, the fact that we've got 2 Aussies on there, maybe, although you would think, I was just going to say maybe they just haven't got it up yet. But if DAZN haven't got it up yet either, then maybe, what is it? It's only less than 2 weeks away. So surely they've got to get it cracking. They want people to buy it. Although, hang on, how does it all work? Hang on. So we've got the prelims are free, aren't they? Or no, the prelims you have to pay for, and the main event is free. I don't know. I got no idea how that's going to work here in Australia, Damien. Your guess is as good as mine. And I've just wasted about 2 minutes on nothing there, Damien. Bill, I never believe Tyson Jake would happen, and if it don't, can we finally all agree that YouTube boxing is rubbish and dump it to fight champs? Get your 15-ish real fights, earn it like everyone else. Very well said there, Bill. I 100% agree. Batman says apparently the WBC can adjust any rule they like. It's actually written. That says a lot about the WBC, doesn't it, Batman? I like Andre, says Paul, but who has he beat to become a mandatory challenger? Same with Miyamoto. Her resume is paper thin. Shotgun a chance. I'm with you there as well, Paul. I just think it's good management on behalf of Andre Mikhailovich. I think he's won those regional belts, and then he's got in the top 15. Janibek has chosen him as a voluntary, and then, of course, it's blown up in the States, and now we've got the fight here. So I'm with you, though, Andre. Sorry, Paul. I don't know how Andre's earned the chance, but he has. But if he does happen to win, there's some good fights out there for him. Again, I said these in my walking boxing videos. It could be a Zarafa fight. If Tim Tszyu wants to go up and get another belt, there's that fight. Maybe Isaac Hardman comes out, although he would have, out of retirement, maybe he would have to have a couple of fights to get back in there. But some okay fights in that division. And I've said it before, I would like to see Andre and Zarafa. I think that would be a ripper. All right, Peter. I, as a boxing fan, do not want to see boxing on the same cards as the UFC. Okay, so that's what's going to happen. Soon we'll have UFC pub fighters challenging boxers in Saudi. Yeah, it's just getting a bit murky at the moment, Peter. This is what I'm worried about. If Dana White comes in and you've got him and Oscar and all the Eddie and Turkey and all sort of working sort of together, but the common denominator will be Turkey Al Sheikh. I just hope he just doesn't muddy the waters as far as everything goes at the moment, because it's muddy enough or murky enough. The last thing we need is that thrown into the mix as well. Dana isn't doing much in boxing. Really, he will sell out some local venues, but nobody big is taking his terrible paydays. Yeah, that's the way I see it as well, Batman. Yeah, Tim was giving Fundora a beating, couldn't miss. Yep, I agree. Opatai KOs Jake inside 1 minute. I'm with you there, Peter. Did you see the draw for the AFL Grand Final artwork? Said how bad he wants to do the drawing for Essendon and Carlton, but doesn't see that happening anytime soon. I did actually see that, Damien. That was Mark Knight, wasn't he? Does the I'm not sure they have him in rugby league, but in footy they have the posters they bring out for both grand finalists. And yeah, he did say he'd love to do an Essendon or Carlton poster, but doesn't see it happening very soon at all. So that's how the footy world perceives us, Damien. We're a laughing stock. All right, I believe Al has told David, who's Al, told David not to push to get Canelo stripped. David and his dad have called Canelo every name under the sun. I doubt it was their choice to not get Canelo stripped. Yeah, well, who knows, pound for pound king, but some weird things going on behind the scenes there, I think. Peter, show us your 1995 retro Carlton Premiership T-shirt. Haven't got one, Peter, and I won't get one. 1995, can you believe that? That's nearly 30 years ago, Peter. 30 years. Anyway. Damien says, Turkey did say that these prices will be worldwide. Pay-per-view full event everywhere else. Yeah, well, let's see if he sticks to his word, Damien. Where the hell is Paulo Akuso? Dropping No Limit really starting to look like a terrible career decision. Well, I said that at the time, Jules, and I did say that I cannot see any way that is a good decision for Paulo Akuso unless he had signed with Matchroom or Top Rank or Golden Boy, one of those promoters, even Tasman Fighters to some extent. At least they've got DAZN, and at least they're in with Turkey Al Sheikh with Jai and Justice. But he's just dropped off the face of the earth. That last fight he had was probably in front of about 100 people. It was just disgraceful. Such a great talent. So if I was him, Jules, I've been picking up the phone and making the call and saying, hey, you know when I said that I'd be better off without you? Maybe we can sit down and have a coffee. And look, business is business. I don't think No Limit would say piss off, because they want quality fighters like Paulo Akuso as part of their roster. They need guys like him to keep the content being created. So, yeah, if I was Paulo's team, I would be picking up the phone and talking to Matt or George, I would think. Any news on Justice Honey, Lynden, says Julian. Well, if I'm being honest, Julian, I heard he was going to fight on that October 12th card. It's obviously not going to happen now. Did speak to Mick Francis, and he said they were looking to get him on that card. So he's obviously ready to fight. Obviously, he had the fight here, a couple of months ago, which was just a fill-in fight. Don't be surprised if he pops up on one of the Riyadh cards before the end of the year, mate. I think is it November 16th, and then the Christmas card, the Usyk and Fury card. I've got a feeling he might pop up on one of those, mate. I reckon November 16 could be the one. That seems like a good date for Justice, I think. You too, Peter. Thanks, mate. Great content. Appreciate that. Dana has a slot with the novelty fights. Yeah, well, he does. Maybe that'll be the next thing he gets involved with, James. Thanks, Tommy. Appreciate it, mate. We're still going, by the way. We've got about 20 minutes to go, so if you've got some more comments, keep them coming. Paulo Akuso could win a world title 100%. Yeah, no, I agree, Peter. I think he's a real talent, is Paulo Akuso. I just don't know what, well, firstly, he was thinking, but also what his team was thinking. Now, I understand there's lots of factors involved, but if the reason given was correct in that he wasn't being given enough attention, I mean, the guy had just come off a headlining a No Limit on Fox card. I'm not sure what else No Limit could have done for Paulo Akuso. Again, I know there's two sides of the story, and I know different things will come out, but Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me, Peter, why he's not on those or fighting for no limit on those cards. Bill, AFL pay Katy Perry $5 million for 5 songs. Why couldn't they find 5 Oz groups, share the money that stays in our country? I was thinking about this today, Bill. Now, she was good. Make no mistake about it. She was great. But $1 million a song. Now, Bill, if I was sort of running the AFL, I would have said, all right, well, no, we're not going to spend $5 million. We're going to spend $1 million. And we're going to spend that whether it be on Aussie groups or another international artist, or maybe just say screw the international artists. We've got $1 million to spend on it. The other $4 million have obviously got to spare. We're going to put that into some grassroots footy and look after the people that make the game great. You know, the country players, coaches, the leagues, whatever it might be, put it into that. $5 million for Katy Perry, who was forgotten about 5 minutes after she finished playing, by the way. $5 million. It's just an absolute waste of money. As good as she was, $1 million, and that is it. Put the other $4 million into something that actually benefits the game. And the other thing with that too, Bill, I know it's not an AFL show here, by the way, but on the Thursday, I think it was, or Wednesday, whatever it was, the Brisbane Lions hit town and wanted a training run on the MCG. The AFL said, no, sorry, Brisbane. We know you're part of, one of the 2 teams that's actually playing in the game, but Katy Perry wants to practice her show on the ground, so we can't let the Brisbane Lions train. It is ridiculous. Anyway. BJ Mark Knight does the NRL Premiership posted only the Storm if they win the GF, so expect another this year. Yeah, go the Storm. Is that right? I didn't know Mark Knight did that. Yep, go the mighty Melbourne Storm. Batman, are you going to the zoo fight? No, mate, I'm not. It's right in between my 2 visits. I've obviously just got back, not last week, the week before, so I've been back a couple of weeks now. And I'm going again at the end of November. So it falls sort of right in between that, mate. I would have loved to have gone. But and the airfares are actually quite good at the moment because it falls sort of right in between all the holidays and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it would have been good to be part of Batman. I think Matteo Tapia is on the undercard, which would have been good too. So, but geez, that Japanese, if it is Nakatani Inoue next year, looks good to go to, doesn't it? Big J, that chump McAllister is going. Okay. To see, yeah, I'd say there'll be a few Aussies going over Big J. Like earlier in the year, there were a fair few over there. So there was actually literally everywhere I went, there was just Aussies. So Inoue Nakatani, we have to go business. Okay, all right, well, let's do it. Let me just see quickly. I know this is not really riveting stuff at the moment, but I just want to have a quick look and see what a business class fare to Tokyo is to go. So you can save up your money. I'm just going to put in a random date. Let's just say it's in May next year. There you go. And we'll put in business class. I want to see what it costs there, Damien, because it sounds the things you want to go. Let's have a look. All right, while that's going, we will get to some more comments there. Damien, are you upping your DAZN the whole year? I've watched like one event, the rest have been pay-per-view. What the point, annual sub? I'm with you, Damien. Do you have to actually be a DAZN customer though to be able to buy the pay-per-views? Because that's the only. I'm with you. I very rarely watch them because most of the good fights on there are, like you said, a pay-per-view. So there has been some, but is it really worth the amount of money we pay every year? I don't think it is. I think Tszyu's fought on there a few times. Or Shakur was on there, I think. I can't remember. But just for your information there too, was it Damien? You may as well say between $3,500 $4,000 for a business class ticket to Tokyo. There you go. So if you're looking to come, economy. Actually, I'll just quickly do economy as well. Where are we? I know this is real, as I said, riveting TV. Or if you're listening to this after the fact on Spotify. Again, actually on that, guys, if you don't have a chance to watch the show every week or all of it, check us out on Spotify. All right, so we want to go, well, there you go. Melbourne to Tokyo return. I'm looking at May next year. This is just a date I've put in. $850 return economy with Cathay Pacific. If you want to go even cheaper, $820 with Scoot. So you got to have a 6-hour stopover in Singapore and go via Taipei. But if you just want one stop in Hong Kong, $850. So there you go. Now, that's got to be affordable for most people out there. I know everyone's on a budget these days, but $850 return to Tokyo. Tickets are probably worth about $2,000 though, Damien, so that might upset us a bit. But anyway. All right, Peter. Lionel Richie was the best ever and cost $500,000. He was brilliant. That was in the grand final replay, Peter. All right, Jules. Fair play to Paulo wanting to go his own way, but it seems like there was no real plan. He just has not been active enough. Has he been injured? Even Premier Boxing is a platform he could have been on. I agree, Jules, and I said that at the time. I know he was with, was it Stan he was with? Just poor management. I think he's young enough, Jules, that he's got time. He's got time to do something about it, but he has to do it soon. This is a guy that wanted to beat Jeff Fennick's record and all the rest of it. Well, we've barely seen him. And the fight he did have was it a first round knockout? It was ridiculous. So I think it was it first? I don't know. I think it's Paulo. I'm thinking either way, he won it in front of 100 people. So as I said, Jules, I'll be picking up the phone. What's that? NRL have Aussie kid Leroy not getting anywhere near $5 million. No, but at least they're probably spending their money at grassroots level instead of throwing it away at international acts, Paul. We're just making too much money in the AFL by the sounds of things. AJ Dubois rematch, says Tommy. Parker interim WBO champ versus Caballero. Piccoli versus Zhang. Good matchmaking. I like it. Well, I think AJ and Dubois will rematch, Tommy. I think that's the fight that makes sense. And it's not a bad fight either, Parker and Caballero. Yeah, I like it. And Piccoli, Zhang. Geez, that'd be a ripper too, wouldn't it? I like your matchmaking there, Tommy. Put up your hand for Turkey. I think they are great fights. You might need to come out of retirement and put a few shows on to Sao Paulo. Nothing will ever get me back into promoting fights, Jules. It's a very, very, very hard business to be in. Very, very stressful. And you don't get a lot of, look at the top level, you don't get a lot of credit, I suppose, but at least you're making money. And in Australia, No Limit have probably got the luxury of doing that. But if you're at those lower levels, it's bloody hard to make $1. It really is. All right. Old mate Batman says, I'll see you get McAllister one day. Surprised No Limit hasn't made an offer to both sides. Pound for pound, King, the trip to the LA camp was unreal. Yeah, it certainly was, mate. I had an absolute ball over there. If you haven't seen it, check out my videos while I was away. I'm sure most of you guys and girls on here have seen all of them. There's 12 in total. So that's probably why I want to get away a little bit more often next year, Pound for Pound King. I want to maybe get over 3 times instead of twice, but only go for a week at a time. And it's sort of, dollar-wise, it's not that much difference because I'm with the accommodation. Accommodation absolutely kills you. So I'll be saving a lot of money. I'll be away 2 less weeks, I suppose, and I'll put that money into another airfare. So anyway, I want to do more of that sort of stuff. If I lived in the States, mate, all I'd do was fly all over the country because the internal flights over there are quite reasonable. That's all I would literally do. My YouTube channel would probably just be about me flying all over America, doing the fights over there. And I'll probably still do this show, but yeah, I'm glad you like the videos anyway, mate. I doubt the Fury-Usyk fight will happen in December or possibly even at all. Okay, there's some real bombshells coming out tonight. Fury has stacked on a bit of weight and didn't look to me like he would be fighting this year. Wow, geez, well, they better let us know soon, James, because what is it? It's only a couple of months away. No, what is it? 2.5 months away. I hope you're wrong, James. I really do. Did anyone try to P. Diddy you in America? I heard it's popular nowadays. Yeah, we won't get into that garden snake, but no, to answer your question, I was left alone in America. Singapore Airlines are currently doing Tokyo economy return for $750. Well, Jules, and Singapore Airlines is a fantastic airline to go with. A lot better, I'm assuming, than what Cathay is, even though that's got a good reputation. So there you go, $750. I know it depends on the time of year you go, Jules. I'd just put in May in then, so I'm not quite sure what dates you put in. But $750 return to Japan. Wow, that's it's almost too cheap not to go, Jules. Oh, okay. Batman going to Nick Ball, Ronnie Rios in Liverpool this weekend. I like his style. Definitely one of our best currently from the UK. What was the fight that got cancelled, Batman? And one of the guys is fighting someone else, and he wasn't very happy about it because he put in the whole training camp. It was for I think it was for the Commonwealth title, I think it was. But that's great, mate. I would love to. That's the other thing I've said a few times in here. I'd love to go to fights in England. Maybe next year, guys, we do one in England, we do one in Japan, and we do one in the States. How good would that be? Bill, I believe a national game use national entertainment. This is, for the entertainment for the AFL. Outside of Australia, AFL is nothing to anyone. Well, it's not, Bill. Isn't that funny? I know, again, we're not talking football tonight, but I know AFL gets a bit of rough treatment from non-AFL fans, like the NRL fans and everything, but in worldwide sports, as far as the most attended games goes, and I think it might be eyeballs on them per ratio, or whatever the hell it is, NFL is number 1, only played in the States. AFL is number 3, only played in Australia. So that's why I don't wear the whole thing, it's only played in Australia, who gives a shit outside of Australia? Well, NFL is the biggest game in the world, and it's only played in the US. And I don't care what anyone thinks about our game anyway, Bill. I love the footy. Even when Collingwood are winning, I can tolerate it, as long as there's good footy games on and AFL are dominating. Actually, I take that back. I would almost rather not watch AFL if Collingwood were going to win. But anyway. Albie Mangles, what happened to Bilal Akaway? That's a very good question, Albie. His dad carried on like a good sort when Reynold Quinlan couldn't make weight, yet his son has vanished. Well, there you go. That is an excellent question. I totally forgot about Bilal Akaway. Albie, he was supposed to fight Quinlan. Quinlan didn't make weight. Quinlan then fought Troy Pilcher and got beat by him. And Bilal Akaway just vanished. I'm just going to quickly put in, when was that, by the way? Let me put in the date where that fight was. And Quinlan's obviously been beaten since then. So that was in March this year. So we've gone nearly 7 months since that fight, and Bilal Akaway is nowhere to be seen. That is bizarre. That's a very good question, Albie. I don't know, but I might try and find that one out. Batman. I really want to go to an Inoue fight in Japan. If him and Canelo are on in December, might have to look into it. 2 legends, 1 night. Yeah, wish I could do that, Batman, but not going to happen for me. You need to be DAZN subscriber to get the pay-per-view, but they're a fair bit cheaper. I think roughly $30. Okay. So if you just, because I think with DAZN, is it per month? Is it something like $15 to $20 or something, and then the pay-per-view? But I reckon the yearly, I only paid, I'll be able to tell you actually with DAZN. Let's have a look and see subscriptions. Where is it? So DAZN is $139.99 Australian for the year. Yeah, so say $140 for the year. So it's really not that much. It's, what is it, $12 a week or something? Hang on, 140. Sorry, per week. I was going to say per month. $2.70 a week. So I think we can swing that. But yeah, and if the pay-per-views are going to get cheaper and cheaper, even better. But yeah, it's only about less than $3 a week if you pay for the year up front. What's that? You ever killed a big saltwater crocodile? I'm gathering you're not from Australia, Garden Snake, but no, never. I noticed Fury Usyk was buy the pay-per-view, get a month free. Well, that's very interesting, Damien. How much is the pay-per-view? Put it in there as well, can you? Yes, business 100%. Yep, $3,500, Damien. That's really cheap, isn't it? Is it like a 10 or 12 hour flight as well? So, and I've heard the airlines over there, Japan Airlines, and if that is, of course, with Singapore, worth looking at, Damien. We'll put it on the list. Is Inoue mandated to fight Sam Goodman soon? Yeah, it looks like it's going to be December, Julian. So you'd think that, well, someone said before it might even be in Las Vegas at the end of the year. But hang on, we'll backtrack a bit. If it's going to be in December, if it's in Tokyo, if it's Sam Goodman, well, obviously it'll be in Tokyo. If that's rumours to be believed, that it's going to be Canelo and Inoue on the same card. All right, we've got a few minutes to go, guys. We'll try and get through the last comments there. Thanks, Damien. Yes, I really appreciate that, mate. I have lots of fun doing the videos. There's a guy, or there's numerous guys on YouTube that I love to follow. And all they do is fly. All they do is jump on a plane and they document their journey. And they've all got hundreds of thousands of subscribers and all these views. And they literally live by doing that. The unfortunate thing is mine are boxing related, so I don't think I'm ever going to get those type of numbers. But how good would it be to be literally getting paid to get on a plane and fly all over the world? It would be fantastic. So, James says Katy Perry attracts 5 million in tourism. Oh, I beg to differ, James. What does she attract? People come to the footy. Katy Perry's there. It's great, but 5 million in tourism, I'm not quite sure how. Overseas, the overseas fans will watch the AFL, but I don't think they're really giving a shit whether Katy Perry's there or not. I don't think so. I can understand when people like Taylor Swift come to Melbourne or Sydney, whatever it might be, and they throw a lot of money at the event, because that definitely helps the tourism, gets people to come and all the rest. I'm not sure Katy Perry playing 5 songs is worth $5 million in tourism, but anyway. Damien says, I tried to get over and see Canelo fight before he retires. I need to get over and see Canelo fight before he retires. Yeah, I've seen him a few times now, Damien. It's an awesome experience to get over there. Look, if I'm being honest, though, I still think probably Mayweather fights were probably even better. I know he's not as exciting as Canelo, but they just had a certain, and Pacquiao was probably a little bit the same, by the way. And when this is late. So like 2009, 10, 11, 12, those types of years, they were just awesome because you had Mayweather and Pacquiao together just putting on just unbelievable fights one after the other. So, yeah, Canelo, mate, awesome to see. Are there heaps of Mexicans there? Yeah, I love the culture. Well, mate, if you love the Mexican culture, get over there and see Canelo because he fights in May, which is Cinco de Mayo, which is the Mexican holiday, and then there is the Independence Day weekend in September where he fights, and that's the Mexican holiday as well. So, yeah, they love their boxing, mate. They absolutely love it. And I reckon at the last Canelo fight a couple of weeks ago, I would think 80% of the crowd were Mexican. Yeah, and you got to remember too, there is a massive Mexican population that actually live in Mexico, in the US full time, have either immigrated there or been born there or whatever. But then you also get the influx of Mexicans coming across the border for those holidays. So yeah, I reckon easily 80% of the crowd was Mexican, and they are great people. You don't see any trouble, and they're so committed to their fighters. I think I've said on here before, little kids, women with the headbands on, and just they absolutely love him, Canelo. I would have loved to have been around when Barrera and who else was there? The other Marquez and all those types of fighters were fighting. Actually, speaking of Marquez, I was at the Pacquiao-Marquez 4 fight. I think I've said on here before, and when Marquez won, and I've never seen anything like it. You talk about an atmosphere; the roof nearly lifted off the place. So, but they love their fighters. Morales was the other fighter I'm thinking of, by the way. But when all those guys were around, it would have been fantastic because there was numerous Mexicans around, and they were fighting each other, which was even better. So, but they are a great culture, Damien. Yeah, screw economy. I'm with you there, mate. Batman. I was lucky to go to Canelo Jacobs. I was at that fight too, Batman. And Canelo versus Kovalev in 2019. Had an unbelievable time. Definitely would like to watch him again live. Yeah, it's just the whole event, isn't it? It's just not necessarily just the fight; it's the event. Big J, $750 or $750 to Japan. Bloody hell, I can't. What's that? I can't. Too home, too rocky for that. Okay, so you can't. Okay, you can do it, Big J. Come on, $750. I really need to do it for a huge fight. Couldn't best at Japan would be awesome. Certainly would. Let's hope if they do get that fight on, or any fight with Inoue in it, that the airfares are nice and low. They're always, good thing about it, there's always someone that has the airfares on special. You might have to go via another country or whatever it might be, or have maybe a long layover, but there's always an airline that has wherever you're going on special. What's that? A bit overdue. Wanted to shout out the recent content you've been producing. Thanks, Jules. Walking boxing is great, and production value is going through the roof. Thanks, mate. Not so much the production value on walking boxing. It's just me out on the open. But no, I appreciate that. And like most YouTube channels, they always evolve. And if you watch this from day one, we did a lot more content with interviews and all that sort of stuff, which is still great. But there's so many people out there doing it now, which is probably why I've sort of veered away from that and just gone to channels like this or programs like this. I really enjoy the walking boxing, do it every day, and I just love doing it. But yeah, I'd love to do more and more of those traveling videos, Jules, along with these types of ones. Where are we? Oh, I've got 1 minute to go, guys. Whatever happened to Superman Clark? Good question, Paul. Don't know. Your guess is as good as mine on that one too. He was going okay. I've got a feeling. Did I hear that maybe he retired? I'm not sure, but he was a great young talent. Kane Clark had that really good win over. Who was it? Hunter Ione, and never saw him again after that. What's it there? Bilal never really made a comeback after the Ryder fight. Yeah, I was there for that one. Yeah, I was there too, Batman. It was not great. Reminded me a little bit of Zarafa against Lara, to be honest. Just maybe the occasion got to them. They fought very, very good fighters. They just both got caught. And it's ironic that Zarafa was 2 rounds, and I think Bilal might have been 3. But yeah, it wasn't great for those guys that night. All right, guys, we'll do just a couple more. What's that, Jules? You'd subscribe to my travel vlogs. Okay, well, maybe we might be onto something there. I'd love to actually, and I sort of did it last year, to try. If there's a few fights, even if they're not massive fights, there's just maybe some fights over 2 or 3 weekends. Go over there and spend the time and go to 2, 3, 4 fight nights, whatever it might have been. But we'll see how we go, Jules. Got to talk to my wife first. And I have got a business and a family here, by the way. So just on Japan, I've been a few times. Oh, wow. Okay. Confirmed that it's relatively inexpensive at the moment. Food 30 to 40% less than Australia, and 3-star accommodations, very clean and decent for those on a budget. Well, there you go, Jules. You've just put an exclamation mark on it. We are going to Japan at some stage. I went to Mayweather versus Madonna too. Took my mum. It was amazing also. I was at that fight too, Batman. Do you remember at the end? I'm not sure whether you can remember, but at the end of it, there was a panic and everyone comes streaming into the stadium. It was almost empty, and someone must have heard something and they all come streaming back in, and there was just panic everywhere. It was pretty scary, actually. All right, guys. I think that might be about it. I'm sure you guys are... what's that there? Do you go on other panels like D-Style? No, I don't, Garden Snake. No, I haven't really been... I've done a couple of other podcasts, but not regularly, mate. So I love D-Style's channel. It's awesome. We might have to do an Aussie roundtable, though, I think. I've been talking about it for a while, haven't I? So, but guys, that's going to be... I'm sorry I've missed a couple of... I have been to some good events there, Damien. I think that is about it. I think we've got to the bottom of the comments there, guys. So... yes, what's that about, man? I do remember that, brother. It was a weird moment. It was. That was the Madonna and Mayweather. It was very, very weird. We actually had really good seats for that, Batman. They were sort of back a little bit, but we're right on the race where they walk out, and like literally on the fence. So we're able to walk, look down and see all the fighters going in and out. And I think I yelled out something to them. Floyd Mayweather turned around and gave us a wave, so it was pretty good. But great memories. All right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for tonight. Really appreciate everyone joining in. Make sure you check out every morning walking boxing every day of the week. I do that. And we've got the watch along this Friday night from 7 o'clock. I think it's 7. I'll double check that for Mikhailovich and Janibek, and also Shannon O'Connell and Maya Motu. So check your YouTube channels for what time, and hopefully we'll see you then. So guys, again, thanks for joining in, and we'll catch you next week.